Hey everybody, welcome back to another Pastor's Post. Really quick, I wanted to do a little video. I know it's the holidays. I don't expect this video to get a ton of views or anything like that. But I got asked the question from someone who is a friend of mine. They're not in ministry. They were just kind of looking back, sitting back on social media and watching this debate that has gone on over the past month and a half or so about whether or not people should cancel Christmas service. You know, this year, you're probably very well aware by now, Christmas fell on a Sunday. And I'm even recording this after that Sunday. So what's done is done. Whatever your pastor decided to do, whatever you decided to do, it's over. So you've got to live with the consequences, no matter what. Okay? That's kind of the way I started my reply. So, let me start over here. My friend calls me up and he says, Jeff, I got to ask you, what's your take on all these churches doing a digital service on Sunday and not actually meeting together? And this is what I told him. Okay, what's done is done. It's over. He called me just a couple of days ago and we had this conversation. And I said, here was my thought process, because we didn't cancel. I didn't cancel here at Faith. And we had a board member who thought we should have. The reasoning was nobody's going to be here. It'll be very small attendance. We actually had a pretty decent crowd. I mean, if all of our regular attenders showed up, we would have had a pretty packed place. And so it was kind of nice. We did have service. It went really well. It was a beautiful worship service. Little known fact, this year I've tried really hard to get away from preaching with a manuscript, mostly just to prove to myself that I can do it without a manuscript. And so that's neither here nor there. Has nothing to do, but I preached on Christmas Day, not using a manuscript, just using my Bible, the notes that I'd scribbled inside of it. And it went really well. And just, you can just tell God was really blessing this service. I know that sounds hokey and some of you may not really believe that, but it was awesome. But should we have canceled service? Should your church have canceled service? Now, I know some of you are watching this and you're saying adamantly, absolutely not. And I'm with you. I don't think we should, probably for different reasons. Now, I was all about the whole, it's the Lord's Day, we should not give up the habit of meeting together, blah, 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 or should not give up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. I always butcher that verse. And I went on Twitter one morning and somebody, it was like Christmas Eve, said this is legalism. We don't have to always meet on Sunday. Many times the early church met every day. And so if your attitude behind we have to have church on Sunday was simply because we have to have church on Sunday, I don't know that that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? I guess my position is either way, I don't care. I pastor my church, you pastor yours, but be ready to live with the consequences. But I want to walk you through my thought process. I very much believe we should meet on Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. That's the day we set aside to worship together as a church family, to get the word. If we're not getting the word every day on our own, it's at least the one day we set aside to worship and come together and do this, regardless of whether or not it happened on December 25th or whatever. We should always come together to worship. I believe that. Now, am I legalistic about that to the point if you didn't come, you're a heathen or you're a pagan? Or no, absolutely not. So for me, my hot take, I guess you could say, my ultimate conclusion that I came to was a couple of years ago, we weren't able to meet. And we complained about it. A lot of the pastors, if you pay attention, a lot of the pastors who are doing digital services and things like that on Christmas Day were the same guys who were complaining that we weren't allowed or shouldn't, we were being discouraged from having service, things like that. Not with the exception of, some of the bigger name pastors who kind of stuck by their guns. But locally, I should say, and at least in my area, it seems like a lot of the pastors who were very upset that churches were closing their doors had no problem closing their doors on December 25th and having a little Facebook live stream or YouTube live stream, and that was all they offered their church. To me, I know what it's like to have church taken away from me now, and as a pastor. And I really do enjoy meeting with my church family and worshiping together and preaching, giving them the word, having the word hit my heart as I preach. So for me, and I can only speak for myself, but for myself, I didn't want to abandon that or give up on that. And someone might say, well, you're legalistic. Fine. Okay, if that's what makes me legalistic. But overseas, they don't have church every Sunday either. And there are closed countries that don't have church at all and things like that. And for me, I feel like we take it for granted now that we can have church again. And I don't want that to be me. And I don't want that to be my church. Now, if you're saying, well, we don't want to keep our people from their families and things like that, that's fine. John Acuff in 2016, he put out a tweet saying how as a pastor's kid, he had to go through 4 services or something like this. And it made Christmas so miserable and it was so hard on his family. Give me a break on that, right? I mean, come on. Yeah, your life was so hard. My Christmases growing up, I didn't know if dad was going to beat mom or mom was going to beat dad or what we were in for, who's getting in a fight this Christmas, and are we even going to have Christmas? I mean, can we even afford presents? Things like that. No, I don't respect John Acuff at all, actually, after that statement. But the point is, I'm getting at is, look, if you didn't have service, don't be so hard on your pastor. He had to make a hard call. If you are the pastor who had to make that call, don't be so hard on yourself. If you think you made a mistake, don't do it again. If you didn't make a mistake and it went really well and people really seem to respond better to that, okay, then maybe that's your route. But as for me and my church, we're next time Christmas falls on a Sunday and someone said that's not for 11 years, we're still going to have service in 11 years. Mark my words. So if you are watching this and you had service, I'd love for you to tell me why. If you didn't have service, I'd love for you to tell me why too. Leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. God bless you guys. Thanks for watching. And I hope I shed some murky light on why you should have or should not have had service on Christmas. God bless you guys. Happy New Year.